Hello everyone, welcome back to She Sews Happiness, my YouTube channel where I share with you all things stitching related. I'm Mary Ellen and this is my next installment of Sunday Sews. I have to say, it's currently Saturday evening. I'm in my sewing room with a cheeky glass of Prosecco and I'm going to share with you how I've been getting on with my sewing this week. So, where have I been this week in terms of makes? You may have caught my video on Wednesday/Thursday because I don't think it uploaded until after midnight. The broadband situation still as dire as ever here between the mountains. But yeah, if you caught that video, you'll know that I was working on a sew over a penny dress. I also happen to be wearing one today. That's because I've been at work. Which is also why I'm looking so disheveled and why I have this much needed glass in my hand. I couldn't wait until dinner time to have a drink this evening. So I don't think that says anything about me at all. It says a lot about the people I've had to encounter today, however. So without further ado, let's get back to the sewing because I could quite easily go on about my lack of patience and tolerance for humanity these days. I was making my sew over a penny dress and when I finished off my video on Wednesday, I'd got to the point where the whole construction was complete. I just needed to leave a couple of evenings for the skirt of the penny dress to drop. Now, I did mention this, I think, on my stories on Instagram, and I got a few odd questions as to like, why on earth are you leaving it for 2 evenings? Just hem it up, it'll be fine. Well, here is why I waited for 2 evenings. Let's just say it would not have been fine. So, I'm going to show you what I cut off to even out my hem after a 48-hour stand on my mannequin, okay? And you might think, well, that doesn't look so bad, all looks pretty even, but actually look, it starts to get worse, okay? And while it may not look extreme at the moment, it's going to get pretty extreme in a moment. Look. Okay, so from one side to the other side, we have a difference of like 1 centimeter and let's measure that off, 11 centimeters. That is why I waited 2 evenings for my skirt to drop. I used to wait 1 evening, gave it 24 hours, but just to be meticulous about these things because if you've been coming here a while and you're a subscriber to my channel, you'll know I'm pretty meticulous about these things. I like to make sure the job is done right. It makes one hell of a difference as to why I wait a couple of evenings before I just hem up my dress. And it is always really obvious to me when a person hasn't waited because I think once you start to get a more trained eye, you can tell the difference. And I have to say, I was going into Marks & Spencer's for a few items in the grocery department the other day, and I was walking through the clothing section and I saw travesties. So I saw hems that had not been left to hang before they were hemmed and sent out to the stores. I saw jackets with linings hanging 2 inches out from the arm because they really weren't cut very well. And I really did despair. And that's why I waited the 48 hours before I cut off the extra fabric that had dropped out from my skirt. Because ready to wear fashion was actually one of the main instigators for me starting to create my own handmade wardrobe. There were 2 reasons. One, they really didn't fit so good. We all know this, that's fine. And 2, even some of the most expensive high street brands had really shoddy finishes. So I remember buying a Ted Baker dress where the zipper came off after 2 wears, so you couldn't zip it up again and the zip needed to be replaced just because it didn't have that little zip end. And I remember buying a couple of cardigans that after 1 wash the neckband kind of just created this little hole in the back. Things like buttons that just wouldn't last, or garments that even came that didn't have seams finished, and garments that came, oh, there's a massive bee trying to get through the window. Garments that came where you could see that there were holes in the seams, where there was obviously someone somewhere who had ran out of thread and just started it off at the next random point. It was dire. And when I'm spending £200 for a really nice piece of clothing, I expect that finish to be good. Similarly, if I'm spending £40 or £60 on some fabric, I'm going to give it the due respect it deserves and sew it up really well. So yeah, that's why I waited for 48 hours. So don't question me again as to why I'm not impatient and why I can't just get the job done. I'm not like that. And no one should be like that. We're here to make sustainable wardrobes, right? So clothing that is made so well, we're going to love it and repeat it and want to keep it. So mending will come into play whenever that time does come. But if we make it really well, hopefully that time never comes. So my dress is now complete and I absolutely love it and I can't wait to wear it. In fact, it'll probably get its first outing to work on Monday morning, but I will try and take a snap or two of it so I can, when I'm editing, pop a picture in here so you can see the finished garment on me. So yeah, it took me until Friday, technically. It took me Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to make that one garment, but bear in mind 48 hours of that was literally waiting and then searching for buttons. So I made a couple of stops in stores to find buttons the same colour and I just couldn't get anything to match. I got something I was happy with in the end, so it's okay. They're not the best, but buttons can always be changed anytime I want to. So if I do see something else in the future, I'm sure they can just be snipped off and replaced. So you'll see behind me then what I got up to after I finished off my Sew Over It penny dress, and that is the Gable dress. So the Gable dress is actually an expansion pack of the Gable top, a pattern by Jennifer Lauren Handmade. I absolutely love Jennifer Lauren patterns, and at the moment she is also working on translating all of her original patterns to their curve range, which by the way is incredible and worth checking out if, like me, you're a curvier sewist, and if you're like me and you kind of fall between two of those categories, you may find it works even better for you too. But yeah, I'm really happy with this make. So this is made with a French terry fabric, which I purchased from the rag shop before Christmas, and it has been in my stash ever since. I absolutely love it, and I just wanted to wait until I found something that I really thought worked with it. And I find that it's not really a vintage fabric in terms of style, but I think paired with this pattern, it does look quite vintage. So I'm really happy with this make. Now, basically, this is a really easy pattern, and I think it's a very underrated pattern because I know a lot of people still haven't made this and they really ought to. Whether you make the top version or the dress version, it definitely deserves a place in your wardrobe. So it is slightly different from the Gable top. So I've made the Gable dress, which actually came as an expansion. Now, saying that, it's not difficult to take your Gable top pattern, if you already own it, and change it yourself. All you need to do is find your natural waistline to adapt the top pattern. I just love that 1950s-esque slash neckline. And again, I'm gonna have to pop in pictures for you, aren't I? Because that's not really of much use at all. But it really comes down with two options. So you have a gathered skirt option and you have a pleated skirt option with, of course, pockets. I mean, you could do it yourself. It just takes the work out of it if you grab the expansion pack and just use the templates to do it. I this time have gone for the pleated version. I've made it before and I made it just with a gathered skirt. And I would say from the last time I made it, I'm much happier with this make. The first time I made it, I have to say I was a pretty inexperienced sewist, but I loved it anyhow and I thought, let's give it a go. Totally underestimated the length of the pattern pieces. The arms needed about 4 inches taken off. The bodice needed about 2 inches taken off, but I'm only 5'1". That is not beyond reasonable, you know? But this time I already knew what needed to be done, so it was a little bit easier, and I had no last minute adjustments to make once I had kind of got it constructed. I knew exactly where I was going, and all in all this was sewn up in about 45-50 minutes. And while I don't really care how long a make takes, I mean, I think that's impressive to have something that looks that sleek and sophisticated take that short a period of time. I think is really impressive, and is testament to Jennifer Lauren's drafting abilities. I think she's a fantastic designer, and she does take very typical vintage silhouettes and makes them very modern, which really is my aesthetic. And which is why I turn to her patterns from time to time as well. So I love this. I think this is really, really sweet. I also just love that neckline because you could wear a gorgeous statement brooch, nice vintage piece of jewelry or something like that, even just a statement earring. And I think I could wear that with just a pair of flat shoes to the office, or I could stick a gorgeous pair of stiletto heels on and wear it out. I think it's a really versatile little number, and I'm absolutely fired up by it. So yeah, what else did I get up to this week? Because I always like to fill you in everything I was up to. The other thing I was doing actually was toiling a cashmere pattern. And I have my toile here, and this is something I might actually do tonight after dinner. I know the couple of adjustments that need made for this, and then tomorrow I will be able to cut into this beauty of a fabric. I've shown you it before. There goes all my papers. But yeah, this is going to be a blog post for Jenny Stitches. Cannot wait to make this. However, I'm not rushing this make because it is going to be absolutely gorgeous if I get it just right. And I'm going to spend the Easter weekend working on that one. So yeah, that's fantastic. But what I've discovered is, you'll have seen me talking about a couple of other cashmere patterns in the past. I think their drafting, like Jennifer Lauren, is so amazing. Now, I don't know why it took me so long to come to cashmere. As a curvy sewist, I really should have just been jumping on that bandwagon at the start. But I have discovered that what I thought were plain and basic garments and patterns are actually not. They're just versatile. I can make them anything I want, and I can make some basic adjustments and use some gorgeous prints to make very dressy pieces from what I thought were quite simple garments. They're not simple, they're just really, really well designed and really well drafted. And I think for any beginner sewist, cashmere is an amazing place to start. And you don't have to be, you know, curvy or big busted to use cashmere, because they did bring out a smaller range as well. So they're now really inclusive. I don't think there is a pattern company out there that is more inclusive than cashmere. And it's amazing to think what such a small team of people can accomplish. And it makes you realize that the bigger teams, the bigger companies really aren't doing their job all that well when a handful of people can create patterns that appeal to anyone, everyone. So yeah, what else is there to say on that matter? I'm going to pick up my notes. Yes, I'm a bit of a klutz, and I can't even blame the Prosecco, because actually it's just generally who I am day by day. So as I was saying about cashmere being a really inclusive pattern designer, one of the others that is on my table for this weekend, just the pattern that I'm going to piece together next, is actually this one. It's one of Gertie's Patreon projects. It is the Midge Breton top, and again one of her exclusive Patreon patterns, which is loosely based upon one of the outfits worn by Midge in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and it's hard to resist her wardrobe in any regard. I have to say, this is not my usual style of clothing at all, but I don't intend on making it in stripes. The sailor nautical vibe really isn't for me. but I do have another fabric in mind and it's on the way. So right on the top of my agenda of things to do is piece together the A4 pattern pages, because there's not that many, and actually because there's probably cup sizes and stuff in here and different options, I probably only need the half of them. But yeah, I am going to piece this together this evening. But yeah, to go back to the point that I was originally about to make before I kind of rudely interrupted myself, we were talking about size inclusivity, and Gertie has been doing an amazing job of that as well herself. So Gertie's original remit was kind of sizes 2 to 20. And I think originally actually it was only up to 16. So if you have any of her books, I think those sizes go up to 16. And I'm kind of around the 14 range there. So it wasn't that inclusive at all. But she now has a second size range, which is sizes 18 to 34, I believe. That's pretty good going as well. And it is a testament to these smaller kind of like powerhouse designers that they can do that, because it's not an easy task to take on at all, because as we know, curvier bodies do have more difficulties in certain areas. But I think everybody has different difficulties, but I do think you need an entirely different block. And I've come across places where I think that they've just made their sizes bigger instead of stopping at a certain point and reblocking and doing a lot of research at that point. Whereas I know that Gertie was getting quite a lot of hassle, even just on social media, you know, because she didn't bring these sizes out. But she had been working away on them in the background to do it right. And from what I have seen, she has done it right. She has mastered that curve block that she bases her upper sizes on. And I think everyone looks phenomenal in these patterns. It's amazing. So that is on my list of things to do, is to piece that together. And also what I'll be doing is piecing together the pattern pieces for this one also. I'm kind of wishing I'd sent at least one of them away to be printed. But this is a pattern that I think I mentioned earlier on in one of my videos. It's the Olivia Bralett and Knickers set from Designer Stitch. So these are going to be made in just a lingerie jersey, and I have ordered some from New Craft House and I'll share it with you whenever I get it. But it can be made just from any regular cotton jersey. So I'm going to twirl this up and see how I go at some point during the week. And yeah, hopefully there's not too many adjustments or issues to come across. The designer herself was saying that it is an easy pattern, it's very achievable. So hopefully that's what I will find. So that's what's on my agenda for this evening and even the morning as well. I don't think I'll get any more finished garments this week, to be perfectly honest, but that's fine. I have 2 beautiful dresses and I'm happy with that. I also have one very successful toile with a project ready to go. And what else have I been doing then this week? Almost forgot, even though it's sitting right here, I've been cross stitching as well. So if you are a subscriber here at my channel, you know that I have a little bit of a penchant for cross stitch. So my Cotton and Twine cross stitch subscription box this month had an Easter project in there, and this is my finished Easter cross stitch. So this is going to go on display just on the table in my hallway with a few other little pieces of Easter decor. And yeah, so I got that done, and I got that done quite quickly. I mean, it took me less than a week, and I only spend the hours, you know, an hour every evening working on those. And then the other project, which I think I've been showing you as I've been making progress on it in terms of my cross stitch, is my historical sampler company spring stitch along. So part 2 is now complete as well, and you can see it's taking shape, isn't it? I absolutely love it. Yeah, this has become a very relaxing and calming thing for me to do. I thoroughly enjoy a little cross stitch in the evenings. I also enjoy a bit of embroidery, but I seem to be on a bit of a cross stitch binge at the moment, and I think that is down to those Cotton and Twine project boxes, because they've just been on a real run recently with projects I just want to get finished because I can see them in a certain place in my home. And then I've just finished pre-washing some stuff, including this, which is my spring hairs fabric, which is going to be a part of my Easter wardrobe. So my birthday actually coincides with Easter. My birthday is on Good Friday. So if that's not reason enough to have a gorgeous, cute piece of Easter clothing in my wardrobe, I'm sure I could think of another, but I don't think I need to. So yeah, that's where I've got to at this point of the week. I'm not gonna lie, nothing else will get done this evening apart from possibly piecing together those patterns. But if by some miracle something happens tomorrow, I will add to this video. But for now, I have an empty glass. I'm going to bid you adieu and go refill it and make some dinner. So thank you again for getting this far. I think I'll be back in the morning. Well, hello, Sunday morning's here and hasn't gone quite yet. We're still only sitting on like 5 to 10 or so. So I'm on another coffee and I've come to report that I utterly failed in my plans last night. And after going to make dinner, I pretty much just relaxed and topped up my glass again a couple of times. So just so you can see here, I am actually wearing that Jennifer Lauren Handmade. I've taken pictures this morning to slot earlier into my videos. So I love this. It's cozy. It's really sweet. You can't really see probably because of my hair, but there's that lovely slash 50s style neckline. And I don't usually wear high necklines, but this is one that I will make an exception for. So yeah, last night my patterns didn't get pieced together. I did, however, start a little project, which I'll show you here, just sitting downstairs with my glass in my hand. I started another cross stitch, so it's an Alice in Wonderland inspired cross stitch. It came in one of the Makebox craft kits a while back, but I have to admit this chart was kind of giving me a headache because it's not drawn on a proper cross stitch chart, so to speak, so it's not broken into its 10 by 10 squares, which makes it a bit of a pain just to concentrate on, but nevertheless it's done. So yeah, Sunday I'm going to go now. Not going to piece together those A4 printouts because that's something I like to do in the evening. I don't like to waste my daytime doing those kinds of tedious projects. So in the light today, I'm going to spend some time cutting out my spring hairs as I was chatting about yesterday. I'll get that cut out and then I will have to tackle tracing off all the pattern pieces I need for my Jenny Stitches blog. I've put that off now a few days. I wasn't planning on stitching that project until next week, but I did plan on having all the pieces ready before then, and I haven't done that, so that's high up on the agenda as well. That's not to say I won't just be a rebel and cut into the pattern. These things do happen. Yeah. More often than I really should admit. I do, as I say, I do prefer PDF patterns. I think I've chatted about this before because I like the option of just printing off several copies. So I usually send away and get 2 A0 copies, one of which I can mutilate and destroy in the toiling process, and then one in which I can make my adjustments in a very neat way. So yeah, paper patterns and I are really not friends because there is a whole lot more work involved. But that's me. I'm going to round off now, go and cut out some fabric and yeah, maybe get something productive done. Maybe get myself another coffee. So hopefully you're having a great week and a great weekend, and I'm going to go and try and edit this video really quickly so that I can get it, upload it before Sunday has been and gone, because after all this is Sunday sews, not Monday sews. And yeah, happy stitching. Thank you so much for stopping by and subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please think about doing so. Take care everyone. Bye bye.